Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel, and I am Dr. Princess. And today we'll be looking, at facts about child sexual abuse. My channel is all about how to prevent sexual abuse of children happening, as well as what you can do when you discover, and also going beyond immediate family to the systems that are supposed to be in place, functioning effectively, and all of the criminal justice aspect of it, the psychosocial aspect of it, the social welfare aspect of child sexual abuse. So it's just so wide, putting all my capacities and skills at your disposal in this channel. So once again, I welcome you, and I say sit back, get your notepads, and of course, once you finish watching, you can always ask your questions. I always promise I will come in to check the comments and respond to the questions. Welcome once again. Before we go on to start looking at the facts, it's important for you to have, to be able to follow me to understand why this is so important to me, and of course to you, because if it's not, you won't be here watching. I'm a survivor of child sexual abuse, and it happened to me as a child, multiply, and also rape as a teenager, gang rape, and all of this. I'm not saying them like, oh, they're medals, but they're actually scars that I can wear, the medals that I overcame this once in my life. But the truth about it is that it's not something that should happen to any child. No form of abuse is okay. So I'll go into my story. Yes, I've gone through all my own abuses, and I'm living my life, experiencing some of the consequences, different things happening around my life growing up. But I got to a stage in my life where I was opportune to have 2 pages to myself in what is known today as the most widely read newspaper, which is the Punch newspapers. I had 2 pages to myself a week. I was talk about women, things that had to do with women. And I deviated from the norm, talking about kitchen, decor, beauty, cooking, and I began to talk about social issues. There I raised the issue of child sexual abuse, and it was like, that was a turning point for me. The mailbox was full. I was getting letters and email, which was my first email opened there, year 2000, and emails were pouring in from grieving adults, hurting adults, people who were pained, male and female. Over 1,000 people were writing. It kept flooding in because I have to be sharing some of the responses, still making their names anonymous, just using initials, and just sharing the pain. And it was something we could not do without a week having to mention something that had to do with it. And I knew that I was not the only one. There were people who were hurting. I didn't even think I was hurting at that time, but it was like people were pained. Some were still out for vengeance and everything. We do not need to have damaged adults. We need to care for the children now. We need to prevent. Prevention is better than cure. And how best can we do this if we do not even understand what we're talking about? And that is why certain decisions you will make will be based on ignorance or lack of enough knowledge. If you don't have enough knowledge, you have half-truths. And then you have myths. And then you're working on myths, and you will make errors that damages children for life. And it's in the bid of this, to avoid this, that I am rising up to say, okay, fine, I've got to do more than I've even done in the past to make sure that people have a better understanding. Some of these facts you will find online, and so try to collate the different facts. And the thing about it is that they keep bringing updates and upgrading in different sectors of life. And so even in this, some of the things I knew back then are no longer, not that they're obsolete, but there are new things emerging in child sexual abuse every day. And so you can't say, oh, I went through a class last year and so I know about it. Oh, I did a prevention course also, I'm now super. No, you've just got to keep updating yourself as a parent, as a guardian, as a child, as somebody who works in childcare, as a social worker, as a police officer, as a judiciary person, as somebody who is a prosecutor, you know, and even as a judge or a magistrate, you've got to understand what are the issues. In forensic science, you've just got to know what is going on, what is the latest. So I'm going to be sharing a few facts with us that we need to just have at the back of our mind. I want to call them foundational facts that you just need to have at the back of your mind when the word child sexual abuse, the three words child sexual abuse comes up to you, and some of the acronyms will be explained. I'm looking at my notes on my laptop, so forgive me. Okay. Some countries have been able to calculate, you know, or have statistics of what is the number of children who have been molested in their countries. And not every country. I live in Nigeria right now, and I can tell you we don't have that, you know, as well. So I remember when I was applying for the Ashoka Fellowship, one of the key things that I could bring out was, how do I explain the magnitude or the gravity of child sexual abuse? And I remember, I'm going to probably come back to it while I search for it and say some other things, that I had to use the last census to calculate. If we have 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men, which is also the same as 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys that would have been molested before they get to 18. Fact. That is the fact. So how do we make sure that 1 in 3 girls do not get molested and 1 in 6 boys do not get sexually molested? Okay, I said I'll have to quickly search an application I made some time ago to show the argument of what will happen if we do not really do anything to make sure we don't have 1 in 3 and 1 in 6 boys be molested before they attain 18. And I've been at this work for over 2 decades of my life, dedicated to child sexual abuse prevention and provision of a comprehensive crisis response. The last census in Nigeria said our population is 140 million. We're more than that right now. I'm just giving you what I used then. And I said 140 million, 3,542 million. Males are over 71 million, while females were 68 million plus. A rough estimate of the gravity of the extent of the problem can be pictured and roughly calculated. Forgive me, my eyes keep going this way because I'm reading from. And then I said, a roughly calculated on these statistics, both men and boys amounting to 10 million plus will and have experienced child sexual abuse, and the women and the girls up to 22 million plus will be sexually abused as children and have experienced incidents of child sexual abuse as a child. This translates to 1/3 of the population of Nigerian women to be survivors as well as victims of child sexual abuse, and 1/7 of men also as well as boys. Sexual abuse is real in the country, and so it is in many other countries. In the US right now, I think it's over 42 million. Let me quickly confirm that about 42 million survivors of sexual abuse in America. I think that should definitely be. That's from the National Association of Adult Survivors of Child Abuse. And some other developing countries, of course, New Zealand, Australia, the UK, all of them have calculations of the number of adult survivors that they have in their country from sexual abuse of children. And we have a huge magnitude in Africa as a continent. And of course, India and all the other continents that we have in the world. And so, I'm going to be, forgive me, in another fact we have, which will be my fact number 2 today, is in 1999, the World Health Organization declared child sexual abuse a public health epidemic, which is a global issue. So sexual abuse of children is not limited to a particular continent or to a particular nation or tribe or people or class or creed or religion. Globally, children are endangered. And it's not about being at home or being at war front. Wherever children are, they are highly endangered, and it keeps being so every day of their lives. And the regional office of WHO declared it a silent epidemic in 2004. And that was because children were beginning to have HIV infection, and mainly from sexual abuse, not from mother to child transmission. Mainly from sexual abuse, not from mother to child transmission. I'm laughing, but it's not a laughing matter. It's not a laughing matter. I have to contain. 96% of people who sexually abuse children are males, and 76% of them are married. Percentage of people who sexually abuse children are adults. But what we're seeing, abusers tend to take advantage of a child's trust, and of course their ignorance, to to carry out sexual abuse. And in some ways, what they start doing is to start grooming the child. We have what we call the grooming. And the grooming just basically means that a man doesn't pounce on a child, people just think, they don't pounce on a child, except for child rape, that you just want to go in once and just damage. Most abusers want to have access for a long time, so they do not want to damage the goods. And so they have a lot of patience, they have a lot of self-control, unlike what we think. And so that the child feels safe with them and protected and loved, and they take advantage of that closeness, that relationship. Another fact, when I got to know this, was when I did my first forensic interview training. And when we got to the medical aspect and looking at that, most of the time, 93%, there is no genital injury to a child who is abused. I said, well, how can that? It's the fact. Because I was like, how can that happen? The genital area heals so fast. It has rapid healing. And this is healing that may not even have scars. This is because abusers do not want to risk losing access to the child, so they don't want, just like I said, cause physical harm. Bearers with me. When I'm teaching, I give this example. One example I give is an adult. Let's talk about an adult man who wants to have access to even a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old girl. Let's not even talk about old children. He starts grooming the child, either through showing pornography. The child is watching pornography, and then next thing he moves on to bringing out his penis so the child can see. And after that, the child is curious, so he's looking at, what is this? And don't forget, that doesn't start on day one. It takes a while. It's shown affection, it's done different things to make the child very comfortable with them. Special. And then all of this process, which is not like in order. I'm not saying order one. In number one he does this, number two he does this. So it could be a he, it could be a she, but I'm using the example of an adult man, an adult male who wants to penetrate a minor. He doesn't go ahead penetration. That is rape. And of course, under different laws, depending on the law in your country. In my country, Nigeria, it's defilement. It's not called rape. That is the penetrative sex with a minor. It's called defilement. But it's child rape in some other countries, depending on what is the crime, language of the law for your country. So they don't want to. So he's going to gently, and then when he wants to start to penetrate, he starts gently. He doesn't just go all once. He has enough patience. If the child is saying he's hurting me, he has enough self-control to stop. So the impression people have about it is, no, they are crazy people, they are mad. No. They are calculating people. Of course, troubled, but very calculating, very intelligent, unlike what we think. So they don't want to hurt the child. Research shows that only 7% of children have injury from sexual assault. I met an 8-year-old in 2003 who had been having an undergraduate then, a law undergraduate in one of our state universities, who also is the son of the child's godparents, was already having penetrative sex with this 8-year-old. And I told her, if you tell anybody, you will die. And the little girl had gotten an infection and was in pain. When she thought she was going to die was when she opened up to her mom that, since I'm going to die, you better know who is the person responsible for my death. Because of the kind of pain she was going through, she thought she was going to die, and she opened up about that. So you have very few who will show anything, and that hers was a sexually transmitted infection, so it was able to be recognized. But the issue is not everyone. And that is why with child sexual abuse, prosecution is a bit difficult, because it's been happening for a long time. People have had access to a child and taken advantage of the trust of the child and of the family. Do not forget that we started a series on how to develop your family safety plan, and one of the key things is to get knowledge. So the essence of sharing this is just to take us through the different things that we need to have a better understanding of. There are facts about these issues. There are scientific facts on the consequences of abuse. That childhood trauma causes a lot of damage, and this does not have anything to do with what education level an adult gets to, what economical capacity they have. If they are damaged, they are damaged. You don't expect them to be, giving their full potentials expression, even with the advancements that some of them still make in life. And you and I, the idea is to work together to see that our children experience the beauty of childhood, and that they grow to be wholesome adults, devoid of any form of abuse, confident, able to stand with their peers across the world, and do great things than advanced things. So I'll be rounding up here. Questions, please do connect with me. Subscribe to the channel. You get more and more things that will be revealed in different videos to help us, to assist us, support us, to strengthen us, to encourage us. So it's not all just about education. Sometimes you just need to hear that what you're doing so well, right? And of course of my family. So thank you. I look forward to seeing you again as we continue on this fight against child sexual abuse. Ciao. Do not forget to subscribe. Press the bell button to be notified when new videos are released.